On October 23rd, 2019, me and my friend I went to high school with, and one guy from my block went to go hiking since we love being active and going out together. We did this every couple months in either nearby forests or somewhere across the country when we were all free from our job and responsibilities. That day we went hiking in a forest in Norway, which was not really popular for that kind of stuff, but we gave it a shot. We arrived at the nearest parking lot at 6 p.m. because we lost a lot of time finding a place to leave my car parked, since it was in a town we were not familiar with. We were hiking for about a good hour and a half when we realized we were lost because everyone had their own opinion about where we came from and where we should go. So we kept walking and found some kind of almost fallen apart stone house with its walls marked with graffiti. We were tired, so we stopped there to drink some water and eat a sandwich we brought for ourselves. It was night since it was already almost 8 p.m, and we decided it was best to head back ASAP because it's not fun to hike with flashlights in the woods while it's also freezing outside. We sat and talked for about 20 minutes to remember where we came from, and then one of my friends turned his head really fast over his shoulder, causing us to laugh and make fun of how skittish he was being. But he just looked at us and whispered, "Did you hear that?" We didn't understand what he was talking about, till all of a sudden we all heard it. There was someone talking nearby. We got up and turned on the flashlight, and we heard a loud group of people singing some happy song. It almost sounded like they were mocking. You know that type of singing when little kids mock someone at school? That's how they sounded. One of my friends said, "Shut the light off and walk quietly." So I turned the lights off and we tiptoed across the building, if you could even call it that. They were all at the entrance of the building, so we decided to leave through the hole that used to be a window. They yelled, "Hello?" And we all froze in place. We then looked out ahead towards them, not making a sound. I was able to see them standing in a circle, pointing their lights at something on the ground. When I took a better look, I saw it was a cat or some kind of animal similar to a cat. That was the limit. I just said, "Screw this, run." We all got out through that window and sprinted for a couple minutes, and we could hear them yelling, "We will burn your ass!" while they were throwing what we think were rocks at us. While we were running, I could have sworn I heard them running after us, making growling sounds like a dog. I was so relieved to see my car I started laughing. I reported this anonymously to the police the next day, mostly because I can't stand animal abuse, and I assume that cat didn't die a natural death. I don't know what happened, but I am glad we got out of there and we didn't go for a hike since then, but we are definitely planning on it, just not in that forest. One warm July night, I was with 4 of my friends swimming in a public lake. It was completely empty, but that wasn't exactly uncommon. Suppose you could say it was almost in the middle of nowhere. We were a bit of a ways out, on a small platform used for jumping off and such. We played Marco Polo, King of the Hill, and all other types of weird games that teens play. At around 9 p.m., the 5 of us sat down, out of breath and swatting away mosquitoes. I decided to go check my phone, which was on the shore, to see if I had gotten a text from my mom. One of my friends, we'll call her Kay, came with me as I was a little anxious about being separated from the group. When my back was turned, a boat pulled up eerily close to the platform, which my other 3 friends were still on. "Hey!" a male voice said. My heart started pounding and I turned around to see who said it. I thought it could have been my guy friend, but it sounded nothing like him. I looked up and saw a middle-aged man in the boat. It wasn't a canoe, but rather more like a speedboat. There was a guy with dark hair inside and he looked to be in his 30s. "Lake's closed, you guys gotta go," he said. This was weird because there was no curfew for that lake. Although it was for residents of the area only, which my friend and his dad were, we all gave each other a look of, what the hell is he talking about? My friends who remained on the platform slowly got off, mumbling apologies, saying goodnight and such, hoping to avoid conflict. I continued to swim to the shore when I heard him say something that sent a chill down my spine. "Hey, goodnight, guys. Actually, do you want to ride?" My mouth fell open slightly. I was incredibly shocked. I know enough about stranger danger and all that stuff, so I was on edge. To give some context on how sketchy this was, I need to describe how the lake was set up. My friend's dad's house was on a lonely road, which is in a pretty secluded, woodsy town right on the state line. To the left of his house, there's a dirt path that is extremely long and leads to a park. There used to be a summer camp there, but it got shut down. If you walk even farther down the path, it leads you down to a small hill on the lake. Along this path are woods, not houses or anything. The other side that surrounds the lake consists of 2 to 3 large houses, which, if you lived in any of them, you'd be swimming close to them, which we were not. Obviously, we declined the man's offer. He looked a little disappointed, but drove off. The story, unfortunately, does not end there. Skip ahead to a few minutes. We're walking along the long dirt path, still in our swimsuits, towels draped over our shoulders. We're talking, laughing about what just happened, but we're all pretty shaken. We had never experienced anything like that previously, and the fact that he offered to give 5 random teenagers in swimsuits a ride on a small boat in the middle of a secluded lake? Yeah, sketchy as hell. We're listening to music and dancing down the path when we hear a noise. I look at Kay, she shoots me the same look of bewilderment. I looked at my other friends and I just know they heard it too. It sounded like rustling leaves, and a grown man weeping. It didn't sound like he was in pain or afraid, but rather like a small child. We turned on our phone flashlights and scanned the area where the noise had come from, but couldn't see anything. I was shaking like a leaf and was practically pissing myself, yet we were still pretty far from the house, about a half mile, I believe. I practically begged my friends to keep walking. No one went inside the woods, and we were all sort of frozen in fear. I pleaded again, and everyone kept moving. I have pretty severe anxiety, even though that noise couldn't have been anything. The idea of someone hiding in the woods, their intentions unknown, made me want to vomit. We kept walking down the road, and we heard the weeping noise again. At this point, I started tearing up and shaking much harder now. My friends Kay and, let's call her Jess, grabbed my hands and tried to calm me down, even though they were scared too. My other 2 friends were only a little bit behind us, but I yelled at them in a shaky voice to keep close to us. We heard the weeping again, followed by a branch crunching and leaves being moved. I completely lost it at this point, bawling my eyes out, and I broke into a run. I gripped my friend's hands as hard as I could and dragged them along, sobbing and out of breath. There was a metal gate they had to go around to get farther down the path and to my friend's home. I ran around the side, climbed over a rock, and I'm pretty sure jumped down into a small patch of poison ivy, but I kept running. Once we all reached the driveway, I collapsed and sobbed hard. I finally pulled myself into the house, and my friends and I sat in the kitchen, calming ourselves down, and we started talking about what could have been. We all have no idea, but we agreed to never go back down that god-forsaken path past dark ever again. My friend's dad doesn't live there any longer, but I think about this incident whenever we hang out together. We don't think the man in the boat and the possibly weeping man had any correlation. They happen in such close proximity to each other, and that's what really terrified us. I was about 12 at the time, and my mom was going through a divorce. Basically, she left me and went with her new man for weeks on end, leaving me home alone. About 2 weeks after she left, I was sitting on the couch watching Netflix with a bucket of ice cream. I hear the basement door open. I freeze, thinking someone is in the house, but I hear nothing else, so I continue stuffing my face with butter pecan. I eventually fall asleep. When I wake up and walk into the kitchen, the whole damn thing is trashed. Food and garbage everywhere. The most horrifying thing was the footprints left on the floor. Small feet. Looked like they ran. I didn't follow them. 12-year-old me being around kids in school who hated cops, mostly because they got their weed taken away, influenced me enough that calling the police was the last thing on my mind. Going to a neighbor wasn't an option either, since most were guys, and I was a young girl who felt uncomfortable around them. Instead, I locked myself in my room, after running for my life past the basement door, and had some food, along with a kitchen knife. Well, me also being stupid, I forgot there was an attic with entry holes in every closet in the house. Anyone who goes up there can get into any room with a closet. We put it in case we had to hide. A few hours into the night, I realized I was screwed. I heard the little hatch open up. I hear someone climb down. I panic, freeze, and I can't move. I can't breathe. My asthmatic ass is gasping for air while having a panic attack because of whoever's coming into my room. I forgot the knife. I forgot the food. I barely managed to stay silent despite being barely able to breathe. The closet door opens slowly, and I panic again, but more silently this time. I don't remember much of this part. According to my childhood therapist, I forgot it to protect myself from farther trauma. But I remember someone just petting my hair in a creepy voice. Eventually it stopped along with the creepy petting, and I heard another noise downstairs. I realized my mom was home. Temporarily forgetting the thing leaning over me, I knock into it trying to get my mom to tell her someone is in the house, and I scream. It scrambles away to who knows where, and then my mom shouts at me, "What the hell?" And I forget. A week later, we clean it all up. I'm in therapy, and we move out. A few years after moving out of state, curious me looks up our old house and sees a news report of a stalker living in the person's basement. I hope people who have a stalker are alright, because going to therapy for a literal monster in the basement isn't fun.